Rams versus the Indianapolis Colts here at SoFi Stadium in the great Los Angeles, California. Man, what a crazy matchup this is going to be. How are these Rams going to bounce back and win this game? Well, we'll talk about that next on this Keys to Victory episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. If you're on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on that notification bell. Do not miss any episode from us this entire 2025 season. And if you're on the audio only or podcast only side of things, share this audio, share this podcast with all your fellow Rams fans. Any of those options, we very much appreciate it. But before we get started, we have an important message from the sponsor of this video, our friends, MyBookie.
Yeah, we've teamed up with MyBookie. You can go to their website, mybookie.website/join with Rams Up. Use promo code Rams up to $500 is fully covered. And, we've been throwing out some teaser bets there, giving some suggestions. I highly encourage you to ignore them, but it's good talking points. And this week, Seattle, Arizona, another divisional matchup that's going to impact the Rams. Seattle is playing really good football. The Cardinals lose James Conner. They're at home, though. Man, tough matchup for the Cardinals. And, the Cardinals are actually 1.5 point underdogs last I looked at home. So I'm thinking, take the Seahawks to cover at this point, is what I'm feeling. But bottom line is help us out, help yourself out. Jump onto my bookie. Use that promo code Rams up to $500 in bets fully covered. Can't beat it.
All right, everyone. We're all still very irritated, I guess is the best word to say, after that Eagles loss out there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But just like the players, just like the coaches, just like the entire Rams organization, we as fans, you along with us here today, we got to bottle it up, put it aside, and we have to move forward. And we're going to do that as this is a matchup, Mark, Rams Nation, where a month ago, you'd be like, oh, that's a W. Anthony Richardson at quarterback, no problem. We'll take care of them. Now, what a completely different universe the Colts are in compared to what we all thought they would be a month ago. And this game is pretty damn crazy on the I guess the surface, right, Mark? Crazy.
Yeah, and you look at the stats. We'll talk about that later. You took at look at their records, and these are suddenly. Well, I don't think we're surprised about the Rams, but the Colts are right there. I have them in my top 12, my power rankings, and well deserved. Now we'll talk about how they got there, and maybe there's a glimmer of hope for the Rams, maybe winning this outright. But definitely a team that's playing really good football on both sides of the ball, and they got their act together. It's going to be a fun, very competitive game, and we just have to hope the Rams, and I think they have, hope the Rams, this young team, learned a lesson, turned a new leaf, and is moving on, putting that behind them. Because, hey, like I said in the podcast a couple of nights ago, Rams win the next two, they're in first place.
Yeah, it's pretty damn simple, ain't it, Rams Nation? So before we get into all the nitty gritty, which I'm excited. How about that Rams versus Colts history? We've covered, rest in peace to Jim Irsay, as his father was a big part in how the Rams, ended up going to St. Louis, long story short, and how they eventually made the return. We covered that when he had passed, RIP to him, as, the Irsay family made that trade, Mark, if you remember, where they were like, oh, we'll take on the Colts. We're going to go to Indianapolis. and then the unfortunate passing of Miss Frontier's husband, as there's a lot of conspiracies, with that. I'm sure many of you Rams fans know what is going on with that. And then she, of course, then said, "Oh, I can't handle it. We're going to St. Louis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." And the world of football changed forever in LA for quite some time. But that trade never happened. The Irsay family would have owned the Los Angeles Rams, and there's no doubt about it. They would have never left Los Angeles, and that would be a crazy, completely different timeline we'd all be living in. But we live in this one. But it's important to remember that history, right? Outside of a Marshall Faulk trade, outside of an Eric Dickerson trade, and any other Colts Rams trades and transactions that have gone on since. Uh, don't forget, Rams and Colts have a very important history outside of just playing games against each other, as the Irsay family had a big part in what happened to these now LA Rams in the 2.0 LA Rams era. But how about those games? Forget the history lesson there. Rams versus Colts. Colts have the head-to-head regular season record, as these teams have never met in the postseason. No Super Bowl matchups or anything like that, as Colts lead 23-21 and 2 ties in there. So the Rams aren't far behind Mark in the all-time history, but pretty even. I don't know why I thought the Rams would be a lot more ahead for whatever reason. I had no, backing in my own brain to really feel good about that. But after, researching, I was like, Colts got us, huh?
Well, yeah, if you go back, I don't know if this is true, but I'm guessing if you went back to the 60s, we'll talk about their history in the 60s here in a moment.
Yeah.
Johnny U, they had some really good football teams, and these two teams played each other a lot. So the Colts have a very strong history. They've had their down years just like the Rams, but they have a really good history. A lot of people don't appreciate.
Yeah, a lot of good history for sure. And then, how about those last 5 games, Rams Nation? You have starting in 2009 when they still had the all-pro peak Hall of Fame version of Peyton Manning. They whipped our ass 42-6. St. Louis Rams lost pretty bad. As you remember, that Colts team went on to play in the Super Bowl against the New Orleans Saints. They ended up losing against Drew Brees and Sean Payton, or they won the championship. That team was good. They whipped us. Then we move on to 2013 as the St. Louis Rams whipped on the Colts 38-8. Then we get into the Sean McVay era. 2017, his first year, Rams whipped the Colts. It was that first game of the McVay era, if you remember, where the Coliseum was not very packed that day. For anyone who was out there, shout out to you guys pulling up as they put a bombing on them, 46-9. Then 2021, the Super Bowl season with Matthew Stafford's first year. That was when Carson Wentz was the Colts quarterback then. 27-24. If you remember, Wentz got hurt, and then the backup came in, threw a pick to Jalen Ramsey to seal it. That was a thrilling game. 27-24, Rams won. And then the most recent one, 2023, Rams won 29-23, where Puka Nacua had that game-winning overtime touchdown, the first of his career. Let's pull that up. So if you remember, Rams Nation, both teams were 2-2, right? Anthony Richardson was like, okay, he's all right. He's winning with his legs. Rams were kind of in a weird spot, dropping games. This was a week 5 matchup. Stafford threw the ball well, had a bad INT earlier in the game, but Nacua went off for 9 catches, 163 in the game-winning touchdown. Kyron had 2 touchdowns, 103 yards. And then Anthony Richardson had 3 or a couple touchdowns. Zach Moss was their leading rusher, and then Andrew Ogletree was their leading pass catcher that game with a touchdown and 48 yards. But what a completely different universe both teams are in terms of entire, the roster makeup, right? We still have our core guys you see on the stat sheet, Rams Nation, if you're tuning in on YouTube, Kyron, Stafford, Nacua. But the rest of that team's pretty different, and so are they. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I think that was, they're hoping that'd be the coming out party for Anthony Richardson getting rolling.
Yeah.
And I think he started out in that game, really struggled, and then in the fourth quarter, it was chewing up yards with his arm and his legs, and I think he had a 2-point conversion, if I'm not mistaken, to tie that up late.
Yeah, that game we were whooping on him, and then the Richardson show happened. That's probably his best game as a pro, let's be honest. What a shock it happened against the Rams. How fun. But but good game. That's when the Colts were looking legit, and we handled business and things were on a better track in that 2023 campaign for sure. But how about some other history, right? Again, the Nakua overtime, right? We said Rams led 23 to nothing in that third quarter, and Nakua balled out. But if you remember, once upon a time, both teams did belong to the Coastal Division. It was a short stint before the NFC West was created. That was from 1967 to 1969. So we got some good Roman Gabriel, Johnny Unitas matchups for those couple year stretches. Again, before the NFC West was created, where it eventually became Falcons, Saints, Niners, and Rams. You remember that for a long period of time, Rams Nation. But for a while, there was some fun MVP quarterback battles going on, Mark.
Yeah, and I remember, my friends growing up, there was a Roman Gabriel camp, there was a Johnny U camp, there was a Bart Starr camp. There may have been a called Daryl LaMonica, maybe he came a little later. But yeah, big time matchups and two really good teams. The 3 years those two teams won all three of the Coastal Division titles.
Yeah.
They had some big games, and I still remember in schools, some of my dummy friends who showing up in Johnny U jerseys, which pissed me off. And the Colts were, one of the premier franchises during that period.
Yeah. Good battles. And again, in an alternate universe, the Irsay family would have owned the Rams, and who knows what the history of the team would be. I just always trip out on that, Mark. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's a strange one.
Strange one for sure, but we live in this timeline as LA Rams 2.0 era has gone off and been successful for sure, Rams Nation. But man, the history is fun. But how about the Colts roster as a whole, right? Who's on this team? Who are they? Are they any good? And then what kind of defense and offensive structure do they run, right? So for the Colts offense, and it seems like this is just a common thing or theme, I should say, and thing for most offenses in the NFL. I mean, 11 personnel is like the standard package now, right, Mark? It just every team is doing it. So out of no surprise, the Colts run 11 personnel, one running back, one tight end, three wide receivers, just as much as a lot of people in the NFL, right? But if we look to their offense here, they got a good group, Rams Nation, as the offense here, starting with the former USC man for all USC fans out there, Michael Pittman Jr. You have at left tackle Bernard Raymond. You have the All Pro Quentin Nelson, who has made Pro Bowls and been an All Pro guy. Crazy. You got center Tanner Bortolini. You got right guard Matt Concavs. Right tackle Braden Smith. Tight end rookie Tyler Warren, which dang it, I wanted him so bad, Mark. But he's doing well for the Colts right now. Then you got Josh Downs, who's a good third wide receiver. Alex Pierce, one of the best deep threat wide receivers in the entire NFL. And then out of nowhere, Daniel Jones playing good, as he's been a former Pro Bowl guy with his good year with the Giants at one time. And then another player I desperately wanted for the Rams way back when, if you remember in 2020, Colts snagged Jonathan Taylor not too far ahead before we picked Cam Akers. That didn't work out long term, obviously. And he's been a Pro Bowler. He's been an All Pro. And I'm still bitter about that. I wanted Jonathan Taylor so bad in 2020, Mark.
Yeah, I think he's a running back that doesn't get enough love. I mean, he's a complete back, always productive. He's been held back by injuries a bit over his career. He's a good one. And then, Quentin Nelson, I still remember, I believe it was the last time the Rams played the Colts. It might have been two times ago where everybody was pumped about the Aaron Donald versus Quentin Nelson matchup. And then I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Nelson came into that game pretty banged up and it didn't go well for Nelson, but it was quite the bummer. I would have loved to see Nelson 100% going up against AD. But yeah, he's one of the best offensive linemen in the league, obviously.
Yeah, so a group you may not look at on paper and be like, this is a damn good group, Rams Nation, and we'll break down this group as a whole a little bit later. But how about that defense? Well, to start off, the Colts defense do run a true 4-3 defense, right? Four defensive linemen, DNs that are usually in a 3-point stance, not standing up like our outside linebackers, Verse or Byron, very different. Then they have three standing up linebackers behind the D line an outside to the left, outside to the right, and then a middle linebacker in the middle. So again, different scheme than what the Rams do. Rams are 3-4, Colts are 4-3. But how about their defense as a whole? As there are a lot of classic OG veteran players on this roster, Mark. But we'll start with defensive end Kwity Paye, who's been a good player for them. Then you have the Pro Bowl, All Pro level player DeForest Buckner, as we've had a lot of battles with him when he was a Niner and kicking our butt. Then those matchups didn't go well way back when. Then you got nose tackle Grover Stewart. You have Laiatu Latu, their other starting DN, which is somebody we really wanted, but we'll take Jared Verse now, no problem. So that worked out, but he's ended up, still being a good productive player for them. Then you have Joe Bashi, the Will, one of the outside linebackers there, if I'm saying his name correctly. Apologies on that. Then Zaire Franklin, the middle linebacker who has been a Pro Bowler, and he's a tackling machine. Then you have Chardavius Ward, another former 49er. He's been a Pro Bowler. He's been an All-Pro, right? His championship with the Chiefs, was a good player for the Niners, and now he's here in a new scenery after some craziness in his life out there in the Bay Area. He's their starting corner. And you have Ken Bynum, a good safety. Nick Cross, another good safety. You got Kenny Moore, who's been a Pro Bowler. And then Xavier Howard, the former interception master. He's been a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro in his career. And then let's not forget about Samson Ebukam, right, who was a former starting outside linebacker for us. He rotates in at the end. And then you'll see other guys, Mekhi Blackman rotate in at nickel as well in the secondary, and other guys that I'm blanking on at the moment. But at face value, Mark, again, another defense where until you go down the roster, you're thinking, all right, they got some guys, but going player by player like we just did, they got some guys that have played really, really good football in their career.
Yeah, it just seems like a really well-balanced defense, maybe no superstars, but just a lot of solid football players. And Sampson, remember, he was Cooper Cup's college teammate there at
Mm-hmm.
Eastern Washington. I always wondered if they stumbled upon him going out to scout Cooper. And I believe we'll get to the injury report. I'm pretty sure Kenny Moore is going to miss this game. We'll have to see.
Yeah, Kenny Moore he's on injured reserve, I believe. Correct? I might be wrong on that, but
Well, I know the last I heard they were expecting him to be out 2 games at least, so they may have put him on IR, I'm not sure.
yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens with him. But again, Mekhi Blackman can fill in and play some good snaps for them, and he's no pushover. So we shall see with them. But a good group, Rams Nation, on that Colts defense for sure. And then how about the specialist, right? You got the punter, Rigoberto Sanchez, right? We get a nice Mexicano name in there in the NFL. He's their punter. He's their holder for the field goals. Place kicker, you have Spencer Schrader, as they had Matt Gay for a little bit, but that contract didn't work out as he was the highest paid kicker. And they said, see you later, Matt, as he was missing kicks. Unfortunate for him. So Spencer Schrader is their guy. Then you have Anthony Gould, Josh Downs, and Ashton Dolan all for return duties, as Anthony Gould is the main guy there. So, hey, Schrader can kick, Gould can return. They got a group that feels like every team now has guys that can make really long field goals and return guys that you got to watch out for, Mark.
Yeah, I have to just one comment, Rigoberto, I swear there's a couple of taco shops around here that he might own. That's, down here in San Diego, they're all over the place, but yeah, hopefully, we can, yeah, I'd just like to see a kicker miss a field goal against us. How long has it been since that happened? The
Uh,
Titans kicker, was nailing him against us, and then he misses 2, against the Texans or whoever it was,
yeah.
that he maybe it was the Colts. It was the Colts. So, yeah, just miss some field goals, opponents, please, for once.
Yeah, no freaking kidding, honestly. So fingers crossed. We'll see if that happens. Rams Nation is again this Colts roster pretty dang good. But how about the best players from this Colts roster? We highlighted a bunch of them that have been Pro Bowls and All Pros, and some were many seasons ago. Some have been more recent. So me and Mark came together. Who are the best players currently? And we'll name 5 of them for you. Starting with the first one, that would be inside linebacker Zaire Franklin. As I know people like to really highlight PFF scores and whatnot, right? And for whatever reason, a lot of people treat that as the football Bible with how guys are playing. So if you're like, Ian, his PFF ranking isn't that great, whatever. Akello Witherspoon's wasn't great for the last 3 years, and he was a fantastic Pro Bowl level corner. So again, got to treat things with a grain of salt, everyone out there. But this guy is a tackling machine. He has been a Pro Bowl player recent, very, very recent, as his stats right now, he has 15 combined tackles. And again, nothing too crazy, right? You can say, oh, that's nothing to really harp about, Ian. But no doubt about it, this guy can shed blocks. This guy can absolutely stuff the run. He is their Mike. He is a great communicator. And on any given day, Rams Nation, I mean, this guy can be a tackling machine. So, I mean, Mark, we got to watch out for him in the run game for sure. And point out that Mike and try to get double teams off to him or, work double teams to him. Don't just let that guy run around free.
Yeah, and he's a guy that, we love our seventh round draft picks. He's a seventh round draft pick out of Syracuse. So they hit it big with Franklin in the draft, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So we'll see how it goes in our matchup with him. But who would be the next player? Well, that would be defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. Right? We talked about all those times he kicked our ass as a 49er, and those days sucked. And he's been one hell of a player for them in Indianapolis after he was traded. I mean, what a crazy trade that was, Mark. Remember when the Niners sent him away because they thought, what was it, Kinlaw, I believe, was going to be someone to replace? And, well, that was a mistake. And they paid the price for that for a couple of years for sure. But he is one hell of a player, still a pain in the ass. He is someone you have to double team. He is somebody you have to account for. Yes, he doesn't have sacks right now in the season, but he's got a total of this season 14 tackles, but he gets the pressures. He demands the double teams. He is a disruptor. He is long. He's got the giant wingspan to be able to bat passes down and just cause chaos. He's no different than his Niner days, in my opinion, Mark. So he is somebody that you have to account for on the line all the time. And if we have backup guards in again, please double team this man every time, please.
Yeah, and he's the other end of the spectrum from Franklin. He was the seventh overall pick in the draft, and I remember that when they traded him, and I don't know if it was Kinlaw. I think it was they had several. I think they felt like they had a surplus of defensive linemen, and they
Yeah.
said, you know what, Buckner's the one we're going to move. And I think you're right. I think it was a mistake.
Yeah. They blew that for sure. So yeah, Rams Nation, do not screw around and think Buckner isn't this top player anymore. He is a baller and he will kill us on the inside like other D tackles have this season. He is that caliber of player. But how about another interior guy? That would be Quentin Nelson, the star offensive lineman for the Indianapolis Colts. He is A plus in run blocking, right? Great technique, gets under guys, gets low, has great drive and great, I guess, presence in knowing, hey, I know when to bury you. I'm not going to hold. I know when to let go. I can get you out of the way in the run game, right? He's one of the least penalized guys, one of the highest, paid linemen for that reason. And then his pass protection for an interior guy is fantastic as well, right? Some of the least sacks given up for an interior player in the entire NFL. I mean, the guy is just a monster. If he continues to play like this, I mean, he'll be one of the best guards of this generation. There aren't a whole handful of guards you can think that are in that, but he's definitely in that category, Mark. Stay
Yeah,
away from
six.
the guy. Let's attack other guys.
Yeah, 6'5", 330 out of Notre Dame, and he's another first round pick, sixth overall pick. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's a beast. And we were lucky last time. I'm sure he was banged up when we played the Colts last time, and we didn't see the best version of Quentin Nelson. And unfortunately, we probably will this time.
Yeah, no freaking kidding, man. I mean, we lucked out those last couple times. I don't think we're gonna get that chance this time. So, hey, like we said, we can attack other guys. That's a smart idea, Rams coaching staff. Let's not, willow ourselves and be shallow and be like, oh, we're not gonna try to avoid Quentin Nelson. Our guys can handle it. Kobe and Braden. Like, let's be smart. Let's attack other guys because this guy can one-on-one block most people on planet Earth. Let's be honest, right? But how about the biggest shock of who would be one of the best players for the Colts? I mean, who saw this coming? Freaking Daniel Jones, or Indiana Jones, Danny Dimes, Danny Diamonds. He is no longer Danny Pennies, as I like to call him, and other people, right? When the Danny Dimes nickname happened, he was playing bad. Like, he's more like Danny Pennies, not necessarily Danny Dimes, but Indiana Jones is his new nickname, Mark. And this guy has been one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL through 3 weeks. That is insane to think about. What are his stats right now? Overall, he's got a completion percentage of 71.6. That's fantastic. He's got a quarterback rating 85.8 out of 100. Fantastic. He's got 816 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and then, I mean, the guy is absolutely ridiculous. Let's not forget about his 3 rushing touchdowns on top of it. I mean, freaking A, Mark. The guy has 6 touchdowns in 3 games. The guy is a great scrambler. He's always been pretty fast, but this season they're calling it better. He is accurate. He is delivering the football on time with poise. He is not looking, flustered like as he did as a Giant. And oh, what a shock when your O-line is at least average. At least average. Most quarterbacks can function. How about you, Rams? Get it together on the O-line. But Daniel Jones, one of the best players for the Colts this season, Mark. I can't believe it. I think you're muted.
It goes back to that saying that we talked about a couple episodes ago. It's not quarterbacks that fail their teams; it's teams that fail their quarterbacks. And you're right, Daniel Jones never was surrounded with a good cast, especially up front. And I've always liked the guy. I don't know what, there's something really likable about him. Something kind of affable, and I liked him more after he at the turf monster incident where he had like a 60, 70 yard
When
run
he
and then
fell, yeah.
tackled himself. But he was dusting everybody on the field. He is really fast, very athletic.
So again, one more time for you, everyone. 6 total touchdowns in 3 games. He has 816 passing yards, which is 3rd best for quarterbacks in the entire NFL right now. He has 0 interceptions, which is best in the NFL right now for a starting quarterback. And his quarterback rating is number 1 for all starting quarterbacks in the NFL through 3 weeks. Who would have thought? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And respect to him for playing so well for this team. And, that just shows you how bad Anthony Richardson was. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and it shows you how dysfunctional the Giants have been over the last several years.
Oh, yeah, that too, by the way. Jeez
Not to
Louise.
pick on the Giants, they have a great history too. Don't get on our case, Giants fans, if you stumble across us. But I think they'd agree. Nothing to be too excited about over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Let's be real. Giants, New York teams in general in football has been a disaster for a handful of years now. But hey, whether it be him, Xavier McKinney being great for the Packers, Saquon Barkley, and I'm sure other guys will continue to, to thrive outside of New York. What a shock. But Daniel freaking Jones, man, Indiana Jones, he's, got that nickname down and he deserves it for how he's played. But the last best player for the Colts in this group of 5 we like to highlight here, this should be no shock, Rams Nation. It is the running back, Jonathan Taylor, as, again, a player I desperately wanted after the Gurley era was done entering the 2020 season. Colts snagged him before we eventually were left over with Cam Akers, so be it. But this guy, balling right now, averaging 5.6 yards per carry. He leads the NFL with 60 carries overall, which is first in the NFL, like I just stated. His total yards rushing with 338 is first in the entire NFL. He's tied for third in the NFL with 3 rushing touchdowns. And my goodness, Mark, this guy, like you and I have said, he's so underrated. And it's a shock he hasn't gotten more Pro Bowl and All Pro recognition, to be honest with you. And he is the most productive running back thus far in the 2025 campaign. And I am worried about him.
Yeah, and behind that offensive line, it makes him, that's what one of the reasons he's so dangerous. But he's a load too, 226 pounds. Didn't realize he's that big. We don't see Taylor very often, right? So the
No.
Rams are a little unfamiliar with him, but I think fantasy football owners are very familiar with him, especially this year. Anybody that grabbed him is very happy. But yeah, he's one of the best all-around backs in the league, no doubt about it. And the Rams' run defense has been up to it surprisingly. They need to carry it over one more week.
And for all you guys saying, like, okay, he's got 4 total touchdowns, right? He had 1 receiving against Denver. Against this vaunted, top 3, oh my God, Denver defense. The dude shredded them for 165 on the ground and another 50 through the air. So he had over 200 total yards against a top, quote unquote, top 5 Denver defense and had, a touchdown on them. So this guy he's the real deal. Right? No fumbles in these first handful of games. It is ridiculous. If he keeps up this pace, he will get close or maybe even break 2,000 yards based on the projections right now for him. He is that insanely good through these 3 games right now. So, oh, yeah. Got to have a good game plan for that guy as he has been killing it on the ground and when he gets the opportunity through the air. As again, dang you, Colts, for taking him before we had a chance back in 2020. Dang it. But Rams Nation, with that said, how about the Colts this season as a whole, right? Talked about the players, talked about the history, talked about last game, roster, best players, but let's go through that last couple games here as they beat the Dolphins 33-8 at home as they smoked them. And that was Daniel Jones' first game. We're like, oh, wow, he looks really good. And maybe the Dolphins just suck, but hey, good on Daniel Jones. Good for him in his first game, right? Daniel had 272 passing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and they just owned the Dolphins that game, possessing the ball for 39 minutes, which is just bonkers. Then they had that thrilling matchup against the Denver Broncos as it looked like they lost on a missed field goal, then got a second chance after a penalty, then kicked a game winner as that was pretty gnarly as Jones killed and sliced and diced that Denver defense for 316. And then Taylor had over 200 total yards, which is insane. 165 on the ground. And then they played the Tennessee Titans, who we played the week before, and they smoked them 41-20. Taylor had 102 and 3 touchdowns, and Daniel Jones was efficient as well. So, Mark, I mean, this is a good team. The quarterback's playing good. The ground attack, the defense is making plays and doing just enough. And they're beating the bad teams that they should kick their ass, right? And if you're a good team, you should kick bad teams' butts. And they're doing that.
Yeah, and something to be, obviously, you're not going to take anything away from them, but we do have to recognize, the teams they've played have combined for 1 win. They've got
Yeah.
two of the wins at home. I'm trying to paint a better picture for our chances here, calling out a few things, and that, not that they're going to win that game against the Titans, but man, I will never forget the end of the first half in that game. I don't know if you saw it. I'm surprised the Titans coach wasn't fired at halftime for that
Yeah, it's
debacle.
going bad there.
Yeah, it's going bad, really
Yeah.
bad. But yeah, well, the Rams, of course, they've played 2 winless teams and then the Eagles. So yeah, we'll have to see. I'm impressed, but and their schedule has been a little light. We have to accept that. We have to recognize that.
That's fair. But hey, you only play who you can play, and they've beat the shit out of the teams that, again, are not good. And if you're good, you should kill them. And then, everyone's picked to win the AFC West preseason. They went toe to toe with them and, pulled out the victory. So they're legit. Their offense is legit. At least on that, you could say the offense can score a lot of points, which is
Uh,
key in this league for sure.
and wasn't was the Bronco game kind of ended weird too with a field goal attempt, right? Because the
Yeah, missed
Broncos
penalty,
celebrated.
and they got a second
Right,
chance, and then they
right.
switched it in. So, hey,
Yeah,
Denver messed up. They blew that game, and Colts
yeah,
took advantage, just like a team that we like can't take advantage.
yeah.
Tough. All right, I'll stop. But Rams Nation, how about the injury report for this game before we talk about anything else with the matchup? As yes, it is Wednesday. Yes, it isn't the full report of who is going to play in this Week 4 matchup for both the Rams and the Colts, but we get a good indication on how things are going. So, with the injury report, pretty lengthy list for some important guys here. We'll start with the Rams side of things. Rob Avenstein dealing with an ankle. Devontae Adams dealing with a hamstring. Sean McVay said in the press conference today on Wednesday that, hey, they just, feel a little sore there. They're getting their veteran rest day. He doesn't anticipate Havenstein or Adams, little dings with the ankle and the hamstring, limiting them or holding them back from playing at all on Sunday. That's good news. So you can hold your breath no more. You can breathe a little bit with that. Then finally, Steve Avila is practicing, even in a limited capacity with that ankle injury, as his absence, you know, was devastating last game. Could have been worse against the Tennessee Titans, but hey, 1-1 without him, we'll take that more than 0-2, of course. Then Dedich getting his ass whooped all day on against the Eagles, had a chest issue, but he was limited. Colby Parkinson working his way back from the shoulder separation or the shoulder sprain. He was limited, so he's practicing. Braden Fisk, obviously, he's been playing through the oblique. He was limited. And then Cameron Kitchens, as he had to make a lot of tackles in that secondary, unfortunately, on Sunday, he has a shoulder issue, but he practiced. He was limited as well. So from the Rams standpoint, Mark, a lot of people listed. Again, the do not practice guys are going to play Sunday, and then hopefully everyone that's limited, feels good to go, and especially Steve Avila, please.
Yeah, actually, I'm encouraged by this report on a Wednesday that Rams are going to be healthy and good to go. Be interesting to see if Terrence Ferguson is active once again, and they get back to four
Yeah.
tight ends. So we'll see if Dotson and Avila are both good to go. That's a big deal. So, got to be healthy, need a win here, need to get back on track, and this is the week to do it. Got to bounce back from that debacle in the second half, and the first step is getting healthy.
Yeah, get freaking healthy, please, Steve Avila, please. And then now switching to the Colts side of things, we got some guys here that we'll see what their status is, of course, early in the week. Could just be rest days, et cetera, et cetera. But DeForest Buckner did not practice. He may be getting a veteran rest day, but hey, for a D lineman having a back issue of any capacity, something to keep an eye on for sure, right? Mac, gun calves, if I'm reading that correctly, sorry about that. The guard, he's got a toe issue. You need that lower body to be in good working order. Toes, whether he sprained it, he's gotten stepped on. You don't want turf toe to develop where you're ripping those tendons. And, that's a tough injury for any football player. We'll see what's up with him later in the week. Xavier Howard had a rest day. So, hey, we expect him to play. Kenny Moore is dealing with an Achilles. That calf Achilles, that's something to keep an eye on, but he did not practice as well. Alex Pierce has a concussion. So we'll see what his status is. As he is one of the best deep threats in the entire league. If he can't play, woo, what a great thing that would be for the Rams. Let's just be honest about it. As our corners, dealing with the speedsters, Emmanuel Forbes says he's pretty fast, and so does Kobe Durant and Darius Williams think they can run around, but you don't want to mess around with those guys. And Daniel Jones has an arm to launch it, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. If he's cleared to play on Sunday, and then their punter had a personal matter, so we expect him to be out there. There will be no backup punting going on. But hey, some guys from the Colts side of things to keep an eye on, whether they play or don't. A back for Buckner. There's one of their guards with a toe. Kenny Moore with an Achilles, and then Alec Pierce with a concussion. Let's just go down the rabbit hole. If those guys don't play, that'd be big, but let's just assume they all play. So be it. But like I said, something to keep an eye on, Rams Nation, Mark.
Yeah, the biggest impact here is going to be our offensive line. If our offensive line is healthy, that's a big Obviously, a big deal for the Rams, and a big strike against them if they're missing even one of their offensive linemen. Uh, that's going to be a really big factor, really big impact on the Rams' chances of winning this game. So mainly Steve Avila. Get it together, Steve. We need you.
Please, because even if DeForest Buckner has a back issue, he could whip a lot of guards in this league.
Yeah.
Just, 50% Buckner, 75, 85, whatever. He's still phenomenal. And let's not go down that road and test that with backups again, please. But we'll see what happens, right, Rams Nation? As finally, what are the keys to victory to beat the Colts, right? We talked about the roster, their best players, injury report, how we feel, you know, about their team in general, what has gone on in recent history. But now, how the hell are we going to beat these Colts? But I think before we jump into super specifics, marks, and my own keys, I think it's important to pull up some head to head stats, right, Rams Nation? Where do these teams rank? Where are the weaknesses? Where are the strengths? As the Colts offense has been a top 5, top 4 unit in the entire NFL, which is insane to think about, right? Points per game with 34 points per game ranks third. 419 yards per game for the Colts offense is second best in the entire NFL. Rushing yards per game with 153 is third best in the entire NFL. And then passing with Daniel Jones with 265 is the fourth best in the entire NFL. And they've only allowed 2 sacks with that O line. So they've been pass protecting well. Daniel Jones has been distributing and getting rid of the ball. He is not making dumb decisions. He has not thrown an interception or fumbled. This Colts offense right now, Mark, they are balling out, and they're one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't really see with both these teams. I know you still got to get to the other stats here, but yes, for the weaknesses, there are none. There are none between both teams. Both teams pretty stout on both sides of the ball at this point in the season.
Yeah. And then how about that Rams defense going to go against the Colts offense right now? Well, points per game really got put in a bind after that scoop and score. So right now the Rams are middle tier, 20.3 points per game given up. That puts them at 14th in the entire NFL. Yards per game is much more encouraging with only giving up 268 per game. That puts them in top 5, fifth in the entire NFL. Rushing much better than years past thus far in the season with only 103 given up per game, and that puts him at 13. We want to see that number get better and better as the season goes on, hopefully. And then passing yards per game has been nice, other than that last quarter against Jalen Hurts. That sucked. But only 165 yards per game given up. That puts them in the top 5. And then the Rams defense has gone to the quarterback quite a bit with 12 sacks in 3 games. That's freaking phenomenal. And they did that against, I guess you could say, 2 bad O lines overall, and then a really good O line, and they still produce. That's great stat to read and see right there, Mark, with the 12 sacks for the Rams defense.
Yeah, that's one of the more interesting matchups here. The Rams pass rush and Daniel Jones are really good. Colts offensive line, a quarterback that knows how to use his legs, smart, experienced quarterback. And when we get to the keys to victory, that'll be something I'll be focused on.
Absolutely. Now, how about that Colts defense? Well, they're a top 10, you can say top 9 group overall, as they are ninth in points per game given up, 18.7. That's pretty good. Again, they're ninth best in the NFL. Yards per game, they are seventh best with only 272 given up per game. Rushing, they are eighth best in the NFL, only giving up 94 on the ground per game. And then passing, they are the eighth best in the NFL with only giving up 178 yards in the passing game per game. And they've gone to the quarterback a decent amount too, though, Mark, as they have 7 sacks through these first handful of games. And I guess the biggest stat of them all, which decides games, right? The Colts are +5 in the turnover differential margin. That is ridiculously good. And luckily, the Rams are in the positive, but they've given the ball away a couple games in a row now. They are +1. So at least, again, Rams are in the positive, but Colts +5.
Yeah,
No wonder why
and
they're kicking teams' ass and blowing teams out, really.
yeah, and that's an interesting stat, and I've always been troubled by the importance of the takeaways. On the one hand, yeah, maybe they get a lead, they force turnovers, they're just good at forcing turnovers and takeaways. But then you also, there's a luck element to that. There really is. And what happens to this team when they fall into the negative? Can they overcome it? Are they really winning because of these takeaways? And when the takeaways evaporate,
Yeah.
are they still going to pile up some W's? I
Yeah.
haven't watched their games, so I'm not sure the nature of these takeaways, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it. We will have to see. But real quick before we move on, how about that Rams offense, right, Rams Nation? Well, they are the 11th best in the NFL with 24 points per game in that department. All right, good. Would like to see top 10, and I think they have a chance to do that throughout the season. Then yards per game, they are a top 5 unit with 364 per game. That's fantastic to see. Rushing, that's nice. They're in the top 10. They are ninth overall with 127 yards on the ground per game. And then passing, another good thing to see, they are 10th right now with 237 yards per game through the air. And they've allowed 5 sacks, right? We played a lot of good interior guys with backups. So that number realistically could be worse. Matthew Stafford has been getting rid of the football pretty fast, what I've been watching on film. He has not been holding on to it a long time unless the play really calls for it, right? A deep shot to, Devontae here, Jordan Whittington there, Xavier Smith, Puka Nakua down deep in the middle of the field, et cetera, et cetera. No Tutu. We'll get to that in a sec. But a good offensive group performance thus far through 3 games, Mark. And both teams are pretty even per the stats right now, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it is pretty amazing that the Rams have only allowed 5 sacks, and that's, kudos to Matthew Stafford because, he knows who he's playing behind, and we've had some issues up front due to injuries, and he hasn't suffered because of it. He's been playing really good football. Obviously last week he had a couple of, some throws that are a little bit off, but overall you got to give him credit for, recognizing, the issues his offensive line is having and adjusting accordingly.
Yeah, it's adjusting accordingly is correct, ain't it? Shoot. But there you go, Rams Nation. There's some fun head-to-head stats there to kind of give you some more insight on what the hell is going on with the teams, right? On a grand scale, right? Because you see your own games, and it's like, all right, are they really that good? Are they really producing? And the Rams are, and the Colts are on both sides of the ball, which is pretty freaking phenomenal. But like we mentioned, now it is officially time to really dive into these keys to victory. And dang, there are a lot of ways you can go about this, but I'll start with you, Mark. How about the offense first here? What are your keys to victory for Rams offense to be successful against this Colts defense?
I think they need to do what they have done for most of this season, continue to do what they've done for most of this season, and that's just be really versatile. Get different guys involved, different run schemes, get more receivers involved. Just keep the defense off balance. Get Blake and Kyron both going. Get the ball to more than get the ball to the tight ends. Get Tyler and Davis Allen involved. Maybe Terrence Ferguson. Just diversify, and they've done that for stretches. For the most part, they really have, and I think that's why they've been so successful. They just need to continue to do that, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a. I mean, isn't it crazy how simple it is? It's really that simple, ain't it? Sometimes, but for me, Rams Nation, for the Rams offense to be successful against this Colts defense, as this is Lou Anarumo coaching this Colts defense. He was the longtime Bengals defensive coordinator. He was their defensive coordinator when we played them in Super Bowl 56, as he had a lot of good personnel. And with that, they play a lot of zone coverage, a lot. And they're good at it. But luckily, Matthew Stafford is fantastic at reading zone. He is fantastic with his eyes to move defenders, just like he did in that Super Bowl, and just like he's done a ton as a Ram and as a Lion, too. So we're going to have chances. I really think that Puka, Devontae Adams will have good days finding the soft spots in the zone. I think they'll have another day of catching a lot of passes and getting open, finding the soft spots. Soft spots meaning those open areas in between people's responsibilities, right? And as Nakua does, probably better than anybody in the NFL right now. But my main key is based through these 3 games, if I were the Colts, I would bracket Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams and be like, all right, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell, Xavier Smith, Konate Mumfield, Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, and Terrence Ferguson, if he ever decides to, get believed in enough to play at all. The Rams have been so wide receiver heavy in terms of the passing attack. Matthew Stafford right now has over a 70% wide receiver only passing target rate right now, which is, if this keeps up, will be the most in 25 years. Everyone, that is so unsustainable. This team will not win a Super Bowl playing offense like that. Now, have we been scoring points and yada, yada, yada? Of course. But as the season goes on, there's more film on you. There's more tendencies that are shown from Nakua, Stafford, Adams. Teams are going to figure it out. We're going to continue to play good defenses and good corners. They're going to shut them down some games. Who the hell else is going to step up? I need to see Jordan Whittington, Tutu, and the tight end group as a whole. Literally everyone else other than Devontae and Puka step up. It's going to be a heavy zone. There's no excuse why Jordan, Tyler, Colby, any of these other guys that are eligible can't get open in the zone coverage and find the soft spots. I need them to be the difference because I expect Chardavius Ward, Xavier Howard, Kenny, if he plays, Blackman, I expect him to heavily key in on Nakua and Devontae, bracket them, double cover them, and say, all right, guys, we're going to see if any other person can catch a pass other than them two. And I need them to step up. And I think they can, Mark. I think they can because we're going to get a lot of zone and there's going to be soft spots that are going to be available for all the other pass catchers. So that's number one. And please, if Steve Avila can't play, I need you to double team DeForest Buckner every play. Just like you did, Jeffrey. Not like you did against Jalen Carter much, right? That didn't go well. Please, let's do the double team work again. And I think this Rams offense will have a chance to score a bunch. And that's really it. Get other people involved, and I think we'll be able to move the ball, which will then open up opportunities for Devontae and Puka to eat like they are probably going to anyway. But they got corners that could play some good coverage on them, and other guys got to step up, Mark, on offense. It's frustrating.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think the issue is the play calling? Is it Matthew Stafford or is it the players?
It's a giant mosh pot of it all. The play calling is a big part of it because Sean McVay, his passing plays, the primary read is Puka and or is Devontae. And I get it. When you have those guys on the outside that can kill it and win in multitude of ways, excuse me, of course you want to make them the primary read. Okay, that's fine. But man, it would be nice to see every once in a while a Tutu be the primary read, a Tyler Higbee be the primary read, a Jordan Whittington. We know he's talented and can play and run routes and get open and yards after catch, et cetera, et cetera. Or, let's see Terrence Ferguson, see what he could do, right? Or even Davis Allen. We know he's a good pass catching tight end. The point of it is that the play call is not centered around anyone else other than Puka or Devontae ever this entire season. It's obvious. The film don't lie. So I need to see more primary first reads, not just be those two guys every single passing play. And again, I get it. When you have those two, how could you not make them that? But teams are going to key on it, and we are at an unsustainable spot right now with passing to those two guys. Again, the most wide receiver targets between two guys in 25 years. We are that Rams offense right now for the entire NFL, not just Rams offense in 25 years, the entire NFL in the last 25 years. That is just, they are not winning the Super Bowl playing like that. That is just not going to happen. So play calling. And then, of course, players got to get open to your second point. But it's not like they're getting locked up, but they're not the primary read in the primary target. So if they were the primary route, like Tutu was like, hey, we're going to throw it to you on that deep in route or deep comeback which he's good at, or the deep out route, or a skinny post or a post. I mean, Tutu can run routes and get open. That's not the problem, but he's not getting set up to run that route. Neither is Jordan Whittington, and neither are the tight ends. Everything's a little check down, little flat, little kind of, curl stop route in the middle of the field. Like, no one is getting set up to be the primary read. So it's a giant mosh pot of all these reasons, Mark. And if they change it, and this offense could be even better, which is good news.
Yeah, I think a little bit of it is on Stafford too. I know there was at least one
And that
play
too. I
where,
mean, of
yeah,
course.
I think he you have to earn his trust, and there was one play. It was an extended play. I think it was in the red zone, and Whittington looked like he was just standing there waiting for the ball,
Yeah.
and Stafford went the other way with it. But hey, it's easy to make that observation sitting on my couch in the living room on replay. You don't have Jalen Carter in your face, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But again, like I'm saying, when you are being set up with only those two guys as a primary read, that's who you're going to. So that's the main difference in all this, in my opinion. So if that improves, we'll move the ball much better against this Colts defense. But again, they're a good group. We're gonna have to earn it. And earning it is getting other people involved, for damn sakes. So, Mark, I'll go back to you here. What do the Rams defense have to do to be successful against this top 5 Colts offense right now, where everything's just going well for them, which is crazy?
Well, it's the my first impulse is to slow down Jonathan Taylor, and I think that's the obvious one. Obviously, we
Yeah.
have to lock down the running game like we did with Barkley. At least play decent run defense. He's going to get his yards, but we just want to rein him in. But beyond that, it's kind of a recurring theme with this Rams defense is being disciplined and making sure Daniel Jones doesn't get out of the pocket, extend plays, and do damage with his arm and legs.
Yeah.
And he's a difficult guy to get on the ground. A really good offensive line. I'm not sure how many quarterback hits we're going to get in this game. I don't think we're going to pile up a bunch of sacks against this offensive line and this quarterback. But the last thing we want to do is let him leak out. I'm not overly concerned about without Witherspoon, there is a concern there, but I think we
Yeah.
match up okay with this wide receiver group. Pittman's a guy to deal with, and I'm not sure how we do that. And I'm starting to realize how much we miss Witherspoon, how important he was to this defense, right?
Yeah.
So I think the main thing is just being disciplined in our pass rush and making sure Daniel Jones has to stay in the pocket and try to find his receivers. Tyler Warren could be an issue too. We've had many games in the past where tight ends do some immense damage to us. Yeah, there's a lot to worry about, I guess. But I think the main thing is being disciplined, gap discipline in our pass rush, and making sure Jones doesn't hurt us outside of the pocket.
That's really it. But yeah, man, Mark, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can go with this, how to beat or how to be successful against this Colts offense. But for me, my keys to victory, Rams defense against Colts offense is you have to sell out and stop Jonathan Taylor like you did with Saquon Barkley and the Eagles this last week. You have to do it. The Colts rushing attack is so damn good. It is significantly better than the Saquon Eagles rushing attack right now. Now you can say teams have been really selling out to stop Saquon, and that's the case. And teams, have not let him get loose, but teams have been letting Jonathan Taylor get loose. And the Rams I should say, need to treat it the same way. Sell out and stop Jonathan Taylor. Looking at the film, guys, I can't even tell you maybe once or twice, maybe the Colts have been in third and long. His rushes have been so successful that the Colts have never had to have like a 3rd and 10, maybe once or twice based on the film I've watched. That is incredible. And that makes it so much easier for the offense to convert, keep the chains going, and then get points. So they have to sell out and stop Jonathan Taylor. It's not going to be some easy task, but I was encouraged with what they did against Saquon Barkley in that Eagles O-line. So they have it in them. And the Rams need to do that because if they cannot stop Jonathan Taylor, like they did Saquon Barkley, they are losing this game. I think it's just pretty simple. If Jonathan Taylor cannot be contained, they are going to lose this game. The Rams will. Abso-freaking-lutely. So that is the number one key to victory right there for Rams defense. And then, secondly, I think you are going to have to play and take your chances with some blitzes on Daniel Jones. Why is that? Because if we just play zone coverage and hang out and just try to win with 4 up front, which I think this Rams pass rush has a chance to do that. They're talented enough. But if we let Daniel Jones just sit there and dissect, he is playing at an elite level right now, and he is pulling it off, the right reads, the right decisions. So we're going to have to bring the heat. We're going to have to take those chances and hope we get New York Giants Daniel Jones when he's getting pressured, or he has to make a really quick decision and people aren't open immediately. And that's going to be the main thing. Make Daniel Jones look like New York Giants Daniel Jones, right? Get him to be flustered, whether that is rushing 4 or blitzing, which I think is going to have to be the case, which is going to hopefully help out the secondary, who had a bad day against the Eagles at the end of the quarter there. Because Michael Pittman's a good route runner. He gets open. Pierce, if he plays, will run by all of our corners. Maybe not Emmanuel Forbes, but he runs by a lot of people. Excuse me. And then you got everyone else who is just fantastic. Tyler Warren gets open against linebackers. You got Jonathan Taylor, who was open out of the backfield. I mean, this offense is just so damn complete, but it all starts with stopping Jonathan Taylor, rushing the football. And then from there, if Daniel Jones carves us up when we blitz and we sit back, then you, just like Jalen Hurts, you just got to live with it. But if you let Taylor kill us, then I don't think the Rams are going to win this game, Mark.
Yeah, they've won the time of possession every game, not surprisingly. But in that Dolphin game, opening day, they held the ball for 38, almost 39 minutes. And that's what they do. They run it down your throat, set up third and short. And that's why we have to shut down that run game to some degree to set up the possibilities to get after Jones, right? If they're third and 1, third and 2 all day long, we're going to be up against it. So, yeah, you're probably right. Probably it's maybe a no-brainer. Stop Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be, because then everything else will just be so much easier for Daniel Jones, and we got to get him in third and long and be like, can you do it? Because he hasn't been in that situation a ton this year, which is insane. So we'll see, man, because they got the guys that can get open, and I'm worried about it. I'm worried about it for sure. But with all that said, Rams Nation, how about our early score predictions, right? We know it's Wednesday. We know that there's many days to come and things could change. Guys get hurt in practice. Guys on the injury report end up not playing that are starters, right? A Pierce, maybe in concussion protocol, misses the game, or other guys dealing with stuff. We get all that. But we got to tell you what we think and how this game is going to go out. So, Mark, I'll start with you here. What is your early score prediction for Rams Colts week 4? What do you think? Rams win, Rams lose? Let me know.
I'm going to go with the Rams win. I think it's going to be a game where the Colts try to shorten the game. They will shorten the game with their offense, minimize the number of possessions. But I still think the Rams, the offense is playing well enough. They're going to find the end zone a couple of times, and Joshua Carty is going to have to bounce back. He better. But it's going to be a close game. It's going to be really competitive. I have the Rams winning 23-20.
23-20. And then to your point of the kicking stuff, my God, just I don't think it's really on him, honestly. But
Right.
O-line, I mean, that's another key, right? Can we just block like normal O-linemen in the PAT field goal unit? That's a key for the rest of the year, not just this game. But to my early score prediction, Rams Nation, I've been battling with this back and forth for a couple days now. And this is a tough one. And you may say, Ian, what? It's the Colts, Daniel Jones, la, 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 la. But they are just so efficient, so well coached. Shane Steichen has this offense going. And Arumo is getting this Colts defense to play sound with all the veterans that have tons of good experience there. You know, for whatever reason, I'm just not feeling good about this game at all. So Rams Nation, I got the Rams losing 23-24. And how did I come up with the score? Well, until I see it how should I believe that a Rams kick isn't going to get blocked or botched? Be honest, 3 blocked kicks in 2 games. Terrible. And it's the same guys that are going to be out there most likely. A hobbled Kevin Dotson, who's not 100%. Maybe Steve Avila goes out there and it's a little bit better now that he's got some time to heal. But Rob Havenstein has looked bad on those PAT blocks as well. He looks a little tired and fragile out there on those PATs for whatever reason. He's getting blown back as well. So until I see it corrected consistently against another good defense who, let's be real about it, they're going to attack that side like hell. Why even line up on the right side? Let's just everyone bum rush the offensive line left and see if we can get one. And I think that's probably going to happen again, Mark, which is why I end up with the Rams losing by 1 point, because there's going to be a crucial PAT blocked, maybe even a field goal blocked, and it's going to cost us again. I just have a terrible, terrible feeling. And until I see the Rams offense get more versatile with pass catchers, I think this Colts defense will key in on Devontae and Puka and make somebody else beat us. And I know we have the guys to do it, but I got to see Sean McVay call it like that, and I got to see the players execute it and other dudes step up. So that, and then I think Daniel Jones has been absolutely fantastic this year. And I guess we're going to wait. I'm in a wait and see of like, hey, he's looked great. If we get him in 3rd and long, what makes me think as of right now he's going to choke all of a sudden and make bad decisions? This Rams team right now coming off a devastating loss against Philly, playing a hot team who everyone is picking to lose against these Rams. I have a bad feeling this is going to be a letdown game at SoFi Stadium, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But as of right now, just a gut feeling on it. I don't feel good about it, and I think we're getting another block kick that's going to put Rams fans in a psychotic spiral football-wise, and I'm predicting that to happen, unfortunately. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Man, what a mood killer. But I understand where you're coming from. But this might be a good game for the Rams to try a fake field goal, huh? Why not?
Those are tough to pull off. I mean, if they do that, I mean, damn. I mean,
Yeah,
who
it's
would throw the
easier with
ball?
the
I
it's
mean, it has
easier
to
with
be Ethan
the
Evans, right? So, can he throw
yeah,
it? Maybe not.
it's easier with the punt team when you have
Yeah,
you can have a Ronnie Rivers back there.
yeah, for
The
sure.
kickoffs is a little bit harder. But yeah, but I mean, up until that kick, the blocked kick in the Titans game, was it the first one? Our
Mhm.
special teams had been, 100% spot on, one of the best in
Yeah,
the league. And obviously they've had a little rut. Better to get it squared away now than, have this rear its ugly head in the playoffs or a
yeah,
divisional game. So, I mean, it's painful, but I think that I just hope the Rams psychologically are repaired and ready to play this game after what
yeah,
happened, and that's a big concern for me. But I think that's where this great Rams culture comes into play, though, and having a guy like Sean McVay and guys like Quentin Lake and Matthew Stafford. It's a young team. It's still a really young team, and it's a big learning moment. And let's hope. I'm hoping they get it. I'm predicting they get it turned around and get a win here, and then turn around and have a big divisional game with the 49ers, right? So it's a big 10 days or so.
it is. And to your point of it lingering, the bad loss, I mean, that's part of my pick as well. Like, just that, the pressure, Colts coming with no pressure at all, the issues on the O line, issues on PAT field goal, the Colts offense is being one of the best in the NFL. Daniel Jones playing he is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, just in terms of all the efficiency numbers, quarterback rating, et cetera, et cetera. I'm worried about it. And I think a block kick will cost us again this week because I don't know if that'll get fixed in a 6-day, 5-day span. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And again, this team isn't going undefeated. Clearly, neither is the Colts. But, I don't expect the Rams to be this 14-win team. There's going to be some unexpected, kind of crappy losses. And I think this may be one of them,
Right.
Rams mission. So we shall see. And again, I hope I'm wrong, please, for my football sanity. For my football sanity, as oh man, Rams Nation, our Keys to Victory episode was pretty fun there. As again, do not overlook these Colts. You cannot. They are good. If you are there at SoFi Stadium, I unfortunately can't make this game, but I will be out there for Rams Niners on Thursday night. I am going to that one, so I will be there to represent in blue and gold then. But if you're there for this one, scream loud. That home field advantage needs to be present. Put the pressure on that Colts defense. Put the pressure on that Colts offense with Daniel Jones. Make it loud. Make it annoying. Make it hard to be able to hear snap counts and communicate. That'll be a big factor in why the Rams hopefully will win in this Week 4 matchup, Mark.
Yeah, fans got to show up, and I think they will. And I think the Rams get to 3-1. And like I said, come Thursday night, we'll come next Sunday. They'll be in 2 weeks. They'll be in first place all by themselves.
That would be great, and I will feel much better on Sunday afternoon if that's the case. And hopefully, maybe Cardinals Seahawks tie on Thursday night. That'd be kind of funny. Probably not, but that Niners lose, probably not. But hey, we can only control what the Rams have in front of them, and that is this Week 4 matchup here at SoFi Stadium in LA against the Indianapolis Colts. But woo, I'll be nervous, just like I probably will be for the rest of my Rams fandom, the rest of my life, which is fine. That means you care. I think that's pretty good. But whether you are going to be at the game at SoFi Stadium, whether you are in Indianapolis rooting for the Rams, whether you're watching it at home, California, Indiana, Northern Hemisphere, Southern, West, East, no matter where you are on planet Earth, wear your gear, rep your Rams, shout out loud at your TV or at the stadium. No matter what, never forget, baby. Go Rams.